Greetings, brothers and sisters. I want to talk about the identified patient, right? So, in a family, there's two things that I believe that seem contradictory. And there's lots of things like this in the world where, both things, even though they are mutually exclusive, like they both can't exist in reality, right? But they do. And one is, I've talked about this in the past. I took when I was getting my master's degree in counseling, there was a couple of great teachers I had at this, sort of a new age, uh, you know, counseling school in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And this one teacher had brought about, was for group therapy. And he had this one book by this guy who was a counselor or whatever he was, psychologist or something. And this guy had what he called healing factors, things that could help heal a situation. And one of the things he pointed out was as a group therapist, you need to identify where the health is and support the health because therapy is mostly about supporting the problem. And there's usually one person, two people, that are, maybe it's like a middle child or it's you know, one of the spouses or whatever it is. There's somebody that's just depleted, but they're like healthy. They're giving to other people. They're, loving. They're sacrificing to keep the family going. They're carrying the family, a dysfunctional family or group maybe, and something like this could be a group dynamic. So you have to find where the health is and support the health because that person is depleted, and then you sort of build on their health and get other people. I don't believe in therapy, but I mean, I believe in it in a sense that in a natural way, but in terms of a science, it's great at identifying the problem, but not good at the solution. But this guy had some, valid points. Find out where the health is, because there's somebody who is going to be healthy in a situation, or more healthy than the other people, and that person's, worn out from trying to carry everybody through. But also, there's the idea of the identified patient, also sort of known as the scapegoat. And this is the kid in the family who everybody thinks is bad or evil or whatever it is. And the dysfunction in the family channels through this kid, through this person, right? And this person's the one who's going to act out, but, there's a lot of negativity and dysfunction in the family or the group or whatever it is. And this person is just, you know, bringing that to life, right? Is taking all the negative energy and, reflecting it back at this situation. And so often the family, the scapegoat, the identified patient, once they leave the family, they might be really healthy and a good person once they get out of that negative situation. And that's what I hoped for my daughter Anna, right? My daughter Anna, who recently committed suicide, last year. It's been about a year, right? And I saw this, that she was the identified patient, the sort of scapegoat in the family. My ex had been that in her family, at least according to her. And, I always, I mean, this is the part I feel bad about because I couldn't do anything to like stop that from happening, right? Like her just in the way that she acted everything out and the way that she was so difficult and, her whatever it was. But I had always hoped that when she left the family that she would be, out of that dynamic and some other side, she had other sides of her personality would emerge, right? And that would, she could have a healthy life, but that didn't happen. And so that's always going to be a bummer for me. But what I'm saying here is what you see on the surface is different than what actually is there. If you looked at the spiritual, the samskaras, the samskaras are in the heartfulness system of meditation. Samskaras are past impressions, right? Things you carry over from a past existence, or it doesn't necessarily have to be here on Earth, but it's something that you have to get rid of, like attachments and impressions and things that are, not the purity. They're not a pure reflection of your soul and who you are as a spiritual essence, right? And so there's all these, energetic ways of and manipulations and gaslighting and all these things. And then somebody acts out, right? Somebody acts out and they're like, oh, he's the crazy one. Like in this case, Kanye, right? Like in terms of the heartfulness system, when my divorce happened, like I was viewed as the identified patient, and I was just like, all right, F you guys, you're supposed to be, you guys are supposed to be able to read people's hearts and look beyond the surface, and you guys are just buying into some like fantastical story, a story that couldn't exist in reality, right? If you guys thought your way through it. And so, it's always going to be a bummer for me. It worked out. Like the cleaning and things for me was great. Like it molded me and helped me on a spiritual level. I'm not complaining about, having that happen because I've benefited from it. And I've benefited from it in terms of what I do here on this YouTube channel. Because right now, people in the truth community are identified patients, right? We're the problem. Like, how did we become the problem? We have no power, right? We have no power or influence over anything, but it's us. It's not Jojo Magoo. It's not the media. It's not the military-industrial complex. It's not the bankers, right? Like, it's the people out there who are looking for alternative narratives and don't go along with the official story. We're the problem, right? We have almost zero power. The only thing that we can do is expose the lies, right? And only to people who are open to that, which is a small number of people. But somehow we're, And so being the identified patient is like you can embrace it and, this is the way these people are going to view me, but I'm not taking on that view. Like I'm not believing in their view, right? And that's the way to go about it. Because acting out, like lots of people say, well, if that's what you're going to think about me, I'm going to act that way. Oh, you guys are going to make me the identified patient? Well, I'm going to act out then, right? And that's the wrong way to go about it. Because the system, the powers that be, the controllers, the whole system, or it could be a family, they want to channel the negative energy through you. There's this negative energy that exists in this demonic system, right? And they want to put it on somebody. You're the crazy one. You're the problem. You're the, and they want you to act it out as a group. That's why I keep on saying to truthers, and I'm going to get into this too. Hopefully, I'm not sure I'm going to do in this video. See how long this video, in terms of when I get through all the headlines. We got a whole Kanye thing to do now. And some hilarious CNN thing with Tony O'Sullivan, the leprechaun. Today's St. Patrick's Day, right? I'm part Irish, so, so it's all working out. It's just really fun. I got to get to that. And after I get to that, I might read these comments and get back into the truther stuff, right? But what they want to do is take the negative energy and have you be a conduit and act out and be the face of the negative energy, right? And that's what they want from the truth community. That's why, what they did with the Cubies, that's what they did. They want to wind you up, get you to act out, and get you to, all the stuff that happened post the Trumpers and the post-Trump election stuff. They want you to act in a way that they can go, look, you guys are the problem. Look at the way these guys are acting, right? They want to villainize you, and you just don't let them do it. You don't, you just go about calmly and dissect what they're doing and say, F these guys. I'm not playing their game or their role for them, right? But in terms of this situation with Kanye and Kim and Skeet, right, and the way this is being played out, because I'm going to get into the Trevor Noah stuff in a second. Kanye is the identified patient. He's the one, and he's been known to do things in the past, get emotional, and act out, and get crazy. He called, what he said, wilding out, right? And do things, emotionally unstable things, psychologically unstable things, which I love and I find entertaining. But there's truth in what he's doing. If you listen to his reasoning, or, even though sometimes he goes off the rails, he's got legitimate points, but they don't want you to see that or hear that. They just want him to be the face of the dysfunction. He's the problem, right? Like, And so let's get into it here. Let's get to the Trevor Noah stuff. So remember this guy, he used to be president. Remember he fake cried that time? Remember he pretended to cry when he wasn't really crying? I'm not going to show you that, but I'll bring that back up at some other point. There was a thing that happened with Kanye and this singer named Taylor Swift, and this guy decided to, in a stage 60 minutes interview or something here, decided to chime in.
The young lady seems like a perfectly nice person. She's getting her award. What's he doing?
Why would he do that?
He's a jackass. No, all this stuff.
That's what Pink said.
I'm assuming all this stuff. Where's the pool?
So he called him a jackass, right? And, you know, he is the president. And he should know better because he's a part of these rituals. I mean, this was, if you look at, I've done videos on that. The Vigilant Citizen has something about the 2009 MTV Music Awards, and it's a ritual, right? It's a Freemasonic ritual. Pink comes out wearing a Freemasonic initiation outfit, and Lady Gaga does her blood dance. I mean, it's just a whole thing. I've covered in past videos. If you don't know about that, there's plenty of people out there. You can find a description of what's going on. You can go detailed or just get a sense of it. Doesn't matter. And he knows, right? So, but Kanye was then always labeled as the guy who was the jackass, the guy who was the fool or whatever it is, right? In terms of the tarot cards, he plays the fool or whatever it might be. But he's a fool that's worth $1.8 billion, right? Jay-Z's 1.3, Rihanna 1.7. So that's something to think about, right? So it starts here. Kanye West banned from Instagram after violating hate speech and bullying policies. And so what that turned out to be was that he attacked, they're saying, Trevor Noah, right? And what he did was he called Trevor Noah, well, I'm not going to say what he called him, but he used the song Kumbaya, right? Which will make sense when you see the Trevor Noah piece, and I'll show you some clips from it. And they changed one of the words into a so-called racial slur. But the racial slur is something, it's not the N-word. The racial slur is something different when it's used by a black person to another black person. If it was a white person to a black person, it would be derogatory in a different way. But in the way that Kanye West used it, it is a way of calling somebody else a sellout, right? And there's other, terms for it. What Kanye West was saying to Trevor Noah was something that wasn't racially motivated. It was talking about him being a sellout, right? But let's get into the Trevor Noah part here.
Kanye West has told us that he struggles with his mental health. So I get it. You want to have arts as therapy. But here's what's weird.
So he starts off by saying that Kanye West, and he gets into the claymation stuff with Pete Davidson, says it's scary. It's claymation, right? Like, here's the claymation part here.
Well, in the music video, it's a claymation music video, I should say.
And he gets into how it's so, horrible. But then he defends Eminem, right?
Kanye West has told us that he struggles with his mental health. So I get it. You want to have arts as therapy. But here's what's weird that Kanye doesn't understand is
And so he says that Kanye was talking about artist therapy, that he was doing this stuff, that was a release of whatever, right, the claymation video of his anger towards Skeet Davidson and whatever was going on there.
It makes you uncomfortable, man, because
it makes you uncomfortable.
Eminem was Eminem from the beginning. I'm going to kill my ex-wife.
So he's saying that Eminem was Eminem from the beginning. So he gets a pass, right? Now Eminem's a white rapper. And so this is where Kanye, could be talking about Trevor Noah being a sellout in this case, right? That he excuses Eminem's horrific, I think Eminem's a great rapper. But his energy and some of the things he says, so twisted, so negative, like evil stuff, right? And a lot of it negatively influenced a whole generation of young men, right? I mean, it fed into anger and all these things. And, and Eminem's been accused of being misogynistic and homophobic and all these types of things. He doesn't get a pass because he was like that always, but somebody who isn't like that and then goes down that road somehow is held to a different standard, right? Eminem was Eminem from the beginning, so he gets a pass. What? What are you talking about? And how about being funny? Like, Trevor Noah is not funny. Like, I've never heard a Trevor Noah joke that made me laugh, right? Jon Stewart was funnier. I mean, Jon Stewart was such a sellout himself and, all the things that happened with The Daily Show. But even now, like, Jon Stewart is, more of a truther than Trevor Noah. Like Trevor Noah came from South Africa where there's horrific abuse, right? I mean, South Africa has had a, horrible history of apartheid and all these things. I mean, all the stuff to do with that. And he's somehow not funny, and he's off on these, he often sides with the power, the abuse of power. Even though, like, he seems like he's talking truth to power, he's almost always siding with the abuser. I mean, it's an odd thing for somebody coming out and being somebody who came from that, kind of a background, right?
It was his shtick, and we knew it was his shtick. He wasn't that person.
Words and ideas, everything starts from within, right? And so these were, they call it therapy. They do these things where people say, oh, I'm doing therapy by putting out art from a twisted place. Like, I don't consider Picasso art. Picasso was a messed up individual, and, he drew one of his wives, he drew uglier and uglier until, like, she committed suicide, right? When you looked at Picasso's art, he had the ability to draw or paint or whatever, he was doing. I mean, he had ability, but what he was putting out was it's like satanic, right? Master Chargy said something similar of the Heartfulness Meditation, said something similar about it. Just because you've been abused or twisted, lots of people have been abused, have great art ability. But putting out something that's twisted for everyone to look at and feel your inner, whatever's going on, you can't call that art. And Eminem put these ideas out. He had that song Stan, which he had a fan who went and acted these things out that Eminem was talking about. And so putting these ideas out to young, angry men and then them going in whatever direction with it, it's the beginning of an action. An idea is the start of an action, right? And to say this is his shtick, this is Eminem's shtick, right?
With Kanye, we don't know how to feel. We don't know how to worry. And I think Kanye...
We don't know how to feel. We don't know how to worry. How about not? It's like, like it's somebody else's nightmare marriage, right? It's somebody else's nightmare marriage. It doesn't concern us. It doesn't concern me. Like, I make videos about it, but I could care less about it. I could care less about anybody else's nightmare marriage that doesn't involve me. Anybody else's nightmare divorce. I'm not getting involved, right? I've been through it. Like, for anybody who's been through it, anybody's had a bad relationship, a bad breakup, a bad divorce, anybody's been with a nightmare person, whatever it might be. And it is whatever it is, right? But the way I see it, the way I see the thing is Kim Kardashian chose a guy that, probably one of the worst guys that would provoke Kanye. Like, she came out and said she was worried that Kanye, how he was going to act. Like, this was something, I didn't cover this from the beginning. I look at the New York Post, I look at Page 6 and some of these other, gossipy type of rags, because I cover this stuff here, right? And I look at the things every day. And when this thing started, I didn't cover this for months. And it started off with Kim saying she worried that Kanye was going to react and act out. And, all the things that he's doing, she set the tone that this was going to happen, right? Like, her and her camp came out with talking points that she was worried that he was going to flip out and act out in a way, right? He had done it in the past, so people are like, oh, yeah, that's a real concern. But then she picked the worst guy, a guy that criticized his mental health, a guy that mocked him on Saturday Night Live, a guy who's a chucklehead and a horrible comedian, right? And he's 19 years younger than her. And he's creepy, like he's ghoulish and whatever else is. I mean, is like if you were going through a divorce and you're the woman that you're a man and you're going through a divorce and your ex starts dating Pete Davidson, how would you feel? If you wanted to provoke somebody, especially someone like Kanye, that's what you would do. You would pick him. Like, I don't know who would be worse, right? Like somebody else, maybe Drake or somebody he had used to have an issue with, somebody like that. It's like you have enemies, you have people you don't like, you have people that maybe have wronged you, right? And she was around when Pete Davidson did his slamming of Kanye on Saturday Night Live. And so she knew that Kanye wasn't cool with him. She knew that, Kanye didn't like him. and she picked him, like out of everybody. And, it's been a celebrity, gossip relationship that's been out there. She's featuring it in her new show. I mean, it's all these things, where they really, these fake celebrity relationships where they're used to gain publicity and things like this. I mean, it's a great thing to draw viewers into her new show, right? And so Pete Davidson has that kind of energy on top of it. And then the drama with Kanye. It's great for her, somebody who exploited, her sex tape, which was how she became famous, right? This type of exploitation. She's willing to exploit herself. I mean, Kanye said that Kim Kardashian's mom's the one who said to leak the tape so they could become famous. Like, that's the family they come from, right? And so, to say Kanye is the problem here, like mental illness runs throughout. Pete Davidson is diagnosed with mental illnesses, and he's self-medicating as well as being on psychological meds. And Kim is, Kim Kardashian. She's, 30% silicone or whatever it is, airbrushed and fake and, just not, no substance, no depth, nothing there, right? Nothing there as a human being. Like nothing like you could grab onto as anything more than some superficial Barbie-like creature that has these, remedial childlike thoughts and then connects with a youthful audience and sells a bunch of, superficial products of makeup and, clothes and things like this, like the whole family. Like it's just the most superficial, level of existence. Somebody who is, to me, unwatchable, like completely uninteresting and unwatchable. But Kanye, on the other hand, has produced art, right? Whether you like it or not, it's, he has creative abilities, and he's done some funny stuff, and he's much funnier than Trevor Noah.
That he goes, well, leave me to create my art. Yeah, but Kanye, you told us you have problems. Now, when we worry about that, you say we shouldn't worry.
We shouldn't worry? Why are you worried about it? Why are you worried about this? Why would anybody be worried about this? Why would anybody really care, right? It's a show. It's a display. They're doing this out in public. She is dating this guy out in public. She's promoting it on her TV show. Kanye's writing, rap songs about it. And Pete Davidson is doing whatever he does, in terms of dating famous celebrity women to promote himself and build his brand. This is all branding, Hollywood stuff. And even if it was like, your next door neighbor, unless they're keeping you up at night or, influencing your life in some way, why would you worry about it? Oh, we're so worried about Kanye. We're worried about Kanye. Like, are you serious? Maybe you should worry about making people laugh. Like, why don't you do your frickin' job? Like, say something that's funny. Say something that's interesting, in a comedian type of way. What are you worried about? You're really worried about Kanye West and his divorce with Kim Kardashian, the fakest, family in the world. She doesn't even look like a human being anymore. She has so much plastic surgery. Like she's, oh, I'm so worried. I'm worried about it. It's so worrisome. I'm worried. Kanye, I'm worried. Like,
Please leave me alone. And so, this story keeps on escalating. You've got Kanye West, who's harassing Kim Kardashian.
So he already said this. Comedy Central sucks about their copyright. But he said it once. He said, the one thing that's disturbing is Kanye West's harassment of Kim Kardashian. So he's making this about abuser victim, right? That Kim Kardashian is the helpless victim. She's done nothing wrong. Kanye West is the abuser, and she's saying, leave me alone. And he is, not listening to her. He's not hearing no. She's saying no, leave me alone. And this is what this guy just said. And I'm going to disprove this. He's got one more thing I want to show you here. I mean, everything they're saying here is on the superficial level. And then I'll show you another way to look at it, right?
And then you've got Pete Davidson, who's now embroiled in the whole thing.
He's embroiled. He's embroiled in the whole thing.
I see a woman who wants to live her life without being harassed by an ex-boyfriend.
So that's what you see, right? That's what you see. That's all you see here. Like, that's the most superficial level, the easiest and the most, the most popular way of looking at it.
But What she's going through is terrifying to watch.
Okay, so he said "but" twice there, right? Which I'm going to address in a moment. The Butt family, which I talked about in my last video. But he also said, "This is terrifying to watch," right? This is terrifying to watch. And so I want to get back to that because you're watching this thing and saying it's terrifying, right? You're saying this is terrifying. So this brings us to the Butt family. My wife was coming in here while I was making this other video where I covered the Kardashians' new show's trailer. And this was I paused it right here. And she goes, "Who's the Butt family?" And I went, "That's how nicknames are born, because if I just waited another second, it would just said Butt family is forever." But it just said Butt family, right? And it starts off here.
Life without cameras was a big change for us.
Life without cameras was a big change for us. So this family, a very superficial family, a plague on this culture, right? There's a couple of things here that, are important to understand. Like, I think Eminem and the Kardashian family are both been plagues on our culture. Like, Eminem, to me, is a great rapper, maybe the best rapper. So he has at least some skill he's developed. But he negatively influenced and brought down our society to a lower level, especially with young men for his time period. He influenced a whole generation. Gangster rap that glorified being a gang member and criminal behavior and drug addiction and things like that, it certainly influenced a culture negatively, right? I mean, I think, you can say that same about rap music and pop music. They've all had their negative influences about making things very superficial, about being selfish, about violence in the case of, gang-related rap. And so, that's all brought the vibrational level of humanity down. Even though it can be, fun to listen to or whatever it is, it's had a negative effect. It's been, something where it's made things worse, right? And the Kardashians and their group of people, their whole, shtick that they do here, has equally brought down society, even more so, because it's a longer lasting show. And now you see on YouTube, there's a whole level of Kardashian-esque Instaghoul models and, and Machine Gun Kelly selling nail polish. I mean, you've seen this industry of, beauty, superficial beauty, just blow up more than ever before. The fashion industry, of course, and, about superficiality to a generation, a younger generation of 8th graders on up through, high school, even younger kids than that, right? And this fake, Barbie-esque, these are living Barbies. As bad as Barbie was, these are living Bratz dolls, right? Who are synthetically modified, and they're really dumb. And, one of the ways I can explain this is yesterday, I'm doing a big project on our farm. We have a tractor, and my energy level is I just feel so much better. This has been my best year in years, coming off of COVID. I've been taking all these supplements, and I'm really having a regeneration, and I'm just psyched to get through this spring and finish up what's left of the infrastructure of our homestead. Then it's just maintenance and things like this, little projects. And so I am doing a big project right now that I need the tractor for, and I realized I was out of diesel fuel. And so we have an old pickup truck, a 1984 Chevy pickup truck, which is great, with a long bed and all these things. And it's something drains the battery in it during the winter, so I had to recharge the battery, and I just got it running, and I realized I was almost out of diesel gas, and diesel gas here is $5 a gallon. Not it's $4.99, right? And so I have 3 5-gallon cans. I went to fill them up, and it's $75. It just shows you I'm looking at these 3 small gas cans that I can lift with my, one arm, right? So they're not, overly heavy. They're heavy, but not overly. 5-gallon gas cans. And, those things cost $25 a piece to fill. It just, it hit me, and then I got, the truck has dual gas tanks. So I filled the other gas tank, which it doesn't take diesel. So it's cheaper, but still expensive. And whilst I was doing that, they have these things where people are so distracted now. People get to listen to music and things at work now, right? Like people, they've just completely allowed behaviors that were never allowed in my generation. And when you're getting gas, a lot of these gas pumps have and this is not a nice gas station. It's kind of run down, but they've just redid their gas pumps. I think they're making a lot of money because it's always busy at its location. But it has these, video screens. There's one thing with this Maria Menounos. This gas station had something else. I think it was called B News or something like that. And the tip of the day, they gave a tip of the day, which was to have smoke detectors on both floors, not just on one floor. Like that was the tip of the day. And the word of the day was fragile. And it defined fragile for those dummies pumping gas who doesn't know what the word fragile is. Because we've hemorrhaged vocabulary. And these dopes have everything to do with it, right? And so let's go with these two clips, and then I want to explain more about this.
This is a relationship that I don't think anybody saw coming.
So they're promoting this new show on Hulu, right? The Kardashians they had this show for 16 years, and they finally ended it because the ratings sucked, right? Nobody was watching it. And so they disappeared from E! Network. It wasn't because, they had enough. It was because it was, there was nobody watching it. They sort of jumped the shark, right? And so now they're promoting this new show. And they're promoting this relationship, right, that began on Saturday Night Live, where this guy hammered her very triggerable husband, right, who is, well, let's watch his part here.
Who are you texting, Kim? Does his name rhyme with feet?
So they're pushing this out in this trailer in two different ways. Their new relationship with Pete Davidson, so that they can get lots of viewers because people are going to be interested in that, right? That's a sellable point. And if they were doing a new show, her getting into this relationship was probably, a big part of the deal. And the other part of the deal was this.
It is really hard with Kanye. He told me my career's over.
Why are we always making excuses for the people that traumatize us?
So a lot of drama and crying in Kanye. So people want to know more about Kanye, or their breakup, and her relationship with Pete Davidson. Every day there's something in the news, right? There's a lot of drama. And they're releasing this show at the same time, which Trevor Noah literally mentions but dismisses that, right? Like this is, just think about this for a moment. So in terms of this being real, like I covered this years ago, how when they do celebrity relationships and they promote them, and there's celebrities that marry average normal people. And, you might see a thing on the wedding here or whatever. They might show up together at a red carpet. But there's virtually no stories about it unless some kind of big thing breaks, right? But celebrities who marry and date each other, it's a huge, win for them in terms of their brand management and keeping them relevant and promoting whatever crap they're selling and whatever movies they're making or TV shows, right? And so having a celebrity couple adds to drama. But celebrity divorce is even more so. And the Kardashians now have both. They have this relationship with Pete Davidson that's going to have an arc that's going to run probably a whole season, right? Conveniently for them. Somebody who's 19 years younger than her. And a guy who's going to provoke Kanye even more. And since Trevor Noah is treating this like a real relationship, let's pretend it is a real relationship. So Kanye West is a known entity, right? Like he isn't a guy that she didn't know he's going to flip out. Like he had so much drama and things and had these sort of, meltdowns time and time again. And so Kim Kardashian didn't have to marry the guy and didn't have to have kids with him, a guy that was a known entity, but she chose to do that, right? She chose to marry Kanye and, have kids with him, right? Knowing that he had these issues. In fact, she got involved with one. Remember, Kanye did a song that he included Taylor Swift, and he said in the song, "I made that bitch famous," right? And he asked her if it was okay to include the lines. Apparently they were, they were okay. They're cool now. And then it came out that she, Taylor Swift's always playing the victim. And she was playing the victim and saying that Kanye West didn't ask her permission and, it wasn't cool what he said in the song, right? And Kim Kardashian, I remember I covered this some time ago. Kim Kardashian came in and someone, either Kanye or her, had tape recorded the conversation. And she played the tape exposing that Taylor Swift did give him approval, right? And so there was this, back and forth drama. And Kim was defending Kanye and knew that there was this drama and, played this private conversation. And so she, she knew about all these things, right? And she chose to be with him anyway and have kids with him. And then they're breaking up and she's, a big part of his nightmare. I mean, he's been way worse since being with her. A couple of times hospitalized, had, breaks in relationships. I mean, whatever, Kardashian curse that exists, that's talked about, he seems to be affected by it. And she said in the beginning that she didn't want to trigger him, and she was, talked about how she was being so careful, and, she was putting the kids first, and she wanted Kanye to be a part of the kids' lives, and she didn't want him to go crazy like he often does, right? But then she picks like one of the worst people, someone that Kanye doesn't like, right, who hates, whatever it is, and, was immediately going to be triggered by that, right? A creepy guy that nobody would want around their kids. This tattooed, ghoulish-looking M&F-er, who says questionable things and has mental illnesses and is a drug user. Like if you were, like if there was the female equivalent of Pete Davidson and you're a woman, would you be cool with your husband, your ex-husband dating that kind of woman and that woman being around your kids? A crack using, tattooed, vulgar, creepy, mentally ill, on medications, diagnosed and, publicly talking about their mental illness and just a ghoulish looking M&F-er, right? No one would want that. This would be like, somebody like Rose McGowan, who is even, even better, I think, than Pete Davidson. Like, no one would want that around their kids. And then someone that hates the mom, right? Somebody who's, mocked you in public and things like this, right? And so, when you say negative things about people, you just have to accept they're not going to like it, right? When Pete Davidson went after Kanye West, you knew that Kanye West wasn't going to like it, right? And Kim was there. She knew, when that happened, that this was there. Like she knew that would happen. She did not, it was a big deal, right? She was a part of that whole Saturday Night Live show, and then she went on Saturday Night Live, and it was clear that Kanye wasn't cool with being, attacked like that or whatever it was, right? Mocked by Pete Davidson. When I mock people here, I don't expect the celebrities are going to like it. Like, I don't want to watch it. I'm not trying to hurt them their feelings. I hope they don't watch it. But I accept that if they do watch it, it's going to bum them out, right? Any celebrities who watch my videos, I don't get enough views and have enough influence that it's a big deal. But it's not my intention to hurt anybody's feelings. But it's, collateral damage because I'm talking about a Hollywood culture and I'm talking about the deception. And what I say, I'm not saying with any hate or any venom, but I clearly, don't like them, right? I don't like what they've done and what they're doing to contribute to the downfall of humanity, right? I'm pointing out that, more so that everyone who thinks that being a celebrity and being rich and famous is a goal, that they're miserable people, and it's actually, you're going backwards, right? You're going away from God. You're going away from your soul's purpose. I mean, maybe your soul wanted you to be famous, sure, that's fine. But you're going to have to backtrack and get back to being just a normal human being. Like, you're going to be, like, more unnatural and, just dysfunctional in your celebrity and wealth and these things, because that's what happens to you. It takes you away from God, takes away from your soul and what's best about you, and it builds your ego. And, more often than not, people become like junior devils or little demons or whatever it is. So for me, there's a greater purpose, and I believe, I'm doing God's work or whatever it is. But, people are going to be pissed when you make fun of them, right? Like, nobody likes it, right? Nobody likes when people say, whatever it is, like negative things to them. Even if, whatever way you look at it, it's just unpleasant, right? It's just, like even if it's something where you don't feel like even when I get comments here, my feelings aren't hurt, but I don't like it's just a negative, weird interaction where somebody's trying to dump their stuff on me or whatever it might be, right? And so this was a known entity. Pete Davidson knew that when he went after Kanye, Kanye wasn't going to like him. And Pete Davidson's very fragile. Like he didn't go on comedy shows. One time, some guy introduced him, and Pete Davidson didn't, and it was a flattering introduction. I'm not going to show you that, but I covered that in other video. Well, maybe I can find it here.
Disrespected me and did something that I told him not to do, and I can't, perform under those circumstances. Everybody who takes the show.
So what happened there was that Pete Davidson said that the manager of the club who introduced him as being the former lover of Ariana Grande and Kate Beckinsale, that Pete Davidson said he told the guy not to say that, but the guy said that Pete Davidson told him to say that. That's how he wanted to be introduced, or his camp said that, right? So Pete Davidson refused to perform because the club manager had offended him in some way, right? I mean, this is a guy who's a comedian. He's a professional comedian. And because of that introduction, he wouldn't perform. And that's not the only time this has happened.
So, what else is going on? Oh, my friend died in my apartment. Oh, Jesus Christ. Who's that guy? We're getting him out. Point out the guy who's a face. All right, cool. Michael Rose, go get him. Well, I'll wait. I will not continue until that kid's gone. Fine, he's up there. So no, I think he's down here.
So Pete Davidson said someone died in my apartment, and this other guy yelled out Mac Miller, and now we know from Kanye, which apparently Ariana Grande's upset about him saying, that Pete Davidson went and confronted Mac Miller and said, I'm her new man and stay away from her and all these things, which prompted the breakup, right? And so this guy has had a history of being fragile and either not performing or going off on the crowd or something like this, right? Also doing it Saturday Night Live. And, people are paying to see him. They're coming out to see him, and he pulls a Kanye. Like Kanye, when Kanye went on a rant for 20 minutes and then left without performing. And so, this guy is fragile. There's another time where he stopped the audience and they were using their cell phones, which is, I understand why. And he went on a rant about his generation and, all the stuff he said in that bit I agreed with, right? But still, he's somebody who's, hypersensitive and, refuses to do his job. I mean, he had problems with Saturday Night Live and thought he was being made fun of because he's got a lot of psychological issues, right? He's had borderline personality disorder, which, is at the base of it is a belief, a deep belief within the person that they think they're evil, right? And so they go about all kinds of ways of covering that up and other things. So he would know that Kanye, and given Kanye's past history, was going to be triggered by him. And so when they came together, Kim Kardashian and him, and they pursued a relationship, they knew that it was going to come with a triggered Kanye, right? Like if you're with somebody that is, like a Kanye, that he was going to go full Kanye. Like anybody could see it, right? Because of the way that it was playing out. And there's two things here, right? In terms of this creature that we call Kim Kardashian, this, Barbie doll, who maybe is a more conniving and smarter businesswoman than she lets on in her, whatever TV show. They're all billionaires, a couple billionaires in their family. Kanye's a billionaire, right? And so she chose one of the worst guys to have a public relationship while she was going through the divorce, right? And this guy decided to rub it in Kanye's face recently, which of course is going to trigger him more. And then he went on to talk about how he wanted to help Kanye with mental illness. Again, Kanye being the identified patient. Kanye's the one who's not on medication. Kanye's the one who's acting out in the most crazy way. But what are they doing to calm him down? Well, they're not. They're provoking him. And then on top of it, she's monetizing their breakup by, getting another TV show deal after their other TV show got canceled. And they, can't not have cameras in their life, can't not have people watching them all the time, right? Living this life out on Instaghoul, which is, the Kardashians are the embodiment of the catalyst for Instaghoul. Like all this fake, filtered, crappy, let's show everybody what a great life we have. And, every little bit of drama that we can milk out of our lives to create some sort of interesting narratives to dopes, right? And so she's monetizing the breakup and then also monetizing this new relationship with Pete Davidson. And so all of those things, Kanye being Kanye and going full Kanye has brought her out to the limelight. And then she plays the victim, gets all kinds of sympathy, right? She's able to, create the good guy narrative for herself. She's been victimized. Right? Like you see it like developing. And then she can make all kinds of money, but also get the good guy role. And he's driving all the narrative. He's creating attention. He's creating buzz. He's the one. He's releasing his album and doing his stuff too, right? They're all monetizing this breakup. They're all, marketing this thing in one way or another. And so, what? You're going to feel sorry for him? Like, come on, right? You're going to pretend this is a tragedy? Like, this isn't some, single mom who's barely able to make ends meet, and she's got some criminal type of abusive boyfriend that's torturing her, and the cops can't do anything about it, and whatever it is, right? She's living in fear every day. This is like these guys have security, and there's just a complete different. They're talking regularly, and they're transferring kids, like they're sharing kids, and they're making arrangements with each other, right? And so, yeah, it's a hostile divorce, but it's a celebrity fake couple kind of whatever drama thing that's playing out here, and they're all running off to the bank while they suck the dopes in, to care about the thing. When, really nobody should be worried about any of these billionaires. And, maybe the kids, right? But they got nannies. Maybe one of the nannies loves them or something. I don't know. But what Trevor Noah did here is he took the convenience side. Like you have all these woke people. Oh, we just want everyone to love and peace and love, and everyone needs to be kind. And, but there are some enemies. Number one, Kanye. Number two, Putin. Number three, Trump's, right? In no particular order, right? Those are people we get to hate. Those are people we get to crap all over. They're the identified patients. But the rest of the world is just kumbaya and peace and love and these things. And so what Kanye said, was misinterpreted by Instaghoul, making him the bad guy. But this guy, Trevor Noah, decided to insert himself in this and went with the most popular opinion. As a comedian, as an artist, why not speak truth to power? Why not come up with a new take on something? Just going along with the, remedial narrative that's given to dopes just to, pacify the masses, right? Something so easy that the child could understand it, right? Kanye bad, Kim good, Pete, trying to be good because he's taking his meds. Kanye bad, right? Trump bad, Putin bad, Kanye bad. Everyone else, in the mainstream media, good. Okay, so speaking of this, let's go to Donnie O'Sullivan. Okay, this is supposed to be real news, right? CNN, hackers try to break through digital Iron Curtain. And we start off with this masked man, right? And so let's see what he has to say.
You should be here in Poland. You should see all these people, refugees from Ukraine. People like you and me.
Yeah, you're not like me, bro. Big giant colossal cursor. Like some guy, where do you get that mask? First of all, you're in Poland and you're a hacker and you have this mask and we're in the fake voice thing, right? Like, because you're so scared of what, Russians or Putin? You got to put on this mask. You know, this is like when they said that Anonymous, which is like just another Q thing, like that's all a part of the same psychological operation, right? The Q stuff, Anonymous, right? And Anonymous, like I just did a video on them, Anonymous and MSNBC. And Anonymous, which is supposed to be some rebel group, is going after the easy target, the identified patient, Putin.
Hackers fighting against Russia's information war.
We knew that there are people all around the world who would like to do something.
So this is Donnie O'Sullivan, right? Our resident leprechaun. Like I've made videos about Donnie before. And he is one of two people that's primary job at CNN as a reporter. This other guy that does a knockoff of Ben Swan's Reality Check, but in an anti-truther way, is this guy goes after truthers, right? He goes after conspiracy theorists. He goes after anybody who's outside the mainstream media narrative. And yet he's got this guy dressed in black who's a hacker who won't show his face, which is the whole, and this guy's, goes after cubies. And yet he's doing the same thing with this anonymous hacker, right? I mean, just the hypocrisy here. The hypocrisy, Donnie, it's off the charts.
The hypocrisy is off the charts, and it is sickening.
But since they can't buy a gun and fight against Russia, we decided to let them use their smartphones instead.
Yeah, they're using their smartphones. They're not trained soldiers or anything, but they got a smartphone, and that phone is smart, and they can do some hacking, and they can do some disinformation.
This man, part of so-called Squad 303.
303.
Online activists in Poland who have built a tool that allows anyone to send text messages and emails to Russians to give them information about the war in Ukraine.
Just, spammers, you mean? I like to call those guys spammers, Donnie.
An attempt to get around Vladimir Putin's growing digital Iron Curtain.
Boom, his digital Iron Curtain. Russia blocks Twitter as Ukraine invasion escalates. We need spammers in Poland.
Russia recently cut off access to Facebook and Twitter.
There's a new group that just came out with a website to allow you to text Russian cell phones.
So how many...
Just randomly, Donnie? Because, who is... Where are you getting these cell phone numbers from?
How many text messages do you think you've sent to Russians over the past few weeks?
3, 4, 5, 6,000. I couldn't even count.
He can't even count. He's a spammer. He's spamming poor Russian people who, where are all these messages coming from?
Keeps going.
Titan Crawford, a truck salesman in Oregon, has spent hours messaging Russians. He says most...
He's Titan. His nickname is Titan. Big giant colossal cursor is all over that Titan there. Okay, my friend, and then there's this.
So his texts don't get a response, and some people tell him to go away, but others engage.
Yeah, because he's a spammer, right? He's spamming people in Russia. Nobody likes spammers.
It's been a mixed bag. I had a gentleman pretty early on that reached out to me and sent me a picture of where he's working, and then I sent him, we found out we like to travel, so I sent him pictures of my travels. He sent me pictures of his travels.
I'm from...
This is this guy.
A generation of Radio Free Europe, and we all remember how hard it is to live in an enslaved country where you do not have proper information, real information about...
Well, I can't imagine living in a country where you don't have proper and real information. Like America, we got this great journalistic integrity. People like Donnie at CNN.
About the world. I can remember the time when we used to listen to Radio Free Europe. The only voice...
Okay, so, you get it, right? I'm not, they're spammers. This guy's dressed like some villain from the Power Rangers or something, right? Yeah, we get it. Conspiracy theories are only great, and spamming's only great when you're doing it. But whenever anyone else is doing it, they're evil, even though you guys have more power and influence. And let me recap here, because in the editing process. We'll get into Jimmy Kimmel's thing in a moment here. But to recap, there is some masked man in Poland as some subgroup of, some group like Anonymous that has created some apps so that Americans can spam over to Russians crappy CNN, fake news, and propaganda. Because CNN sucks so bad, they have to employ spammers like truck drivers from Portland to send out 6,000 or 7,000 spam messages to Russians who didn't volunteer to get them, right? So that's how bad CNN is. So I saw this was featured on Huffington Post here.
And the only pizza they can get now is Papa John's. True, which is, a nightmare. But
okay, Papa John's pizza, he's got to go to pizza.
Putin's punching back. He has now levied sanctions of his own. The Russian...
how about doing your job and being funny? Or being replaced by somebody who is.
Foreign Ministry has imposed sanctions on a number of prominent Americans, including Joe Biden, Jen Psaki, Hillary Clinton, and even Joe Biden's son Hunter. The sanctions prevent...
Wait, is he cutting off Hunter's crack?
...them from any travel into Russia. So there go Hillary's plans to summer in Yagoslav, I guess.
Yagoslav. Oh, that was funny. He made up a city that sounds kind of Russian, but, kind of crappy.
What kind of a penalty is this? There are about a dozen...
Woo! Yagoslav, this guy's great.
On the sanctions list. You know whose name's not on the list? The guy who was tougher than anyone on Russia. Donald Trump is not on the list. He was so tough on Russia, they were scared to put him on the list. He's Sar-a-Lago's...
Donald Trump. This guy can't stop talking about Trumps.
Been carefully dialing back his words of praise for his former sugar vladdy. Last month, Trump, as you know...
Sugar vladdy, great. It's funny. He's a sugar vladdy.
Called him a genius. Now he says he thinks Putin has changed since he was in office. He said, I think Putin has changed. It's a very sad thing for the world. He's very much changed.
Yeah, this is where Trump gets worked, right? Trump got worked on COVID the same way, trying to appease the popular opinion. This is where Trump sucks. But this guy sucks worse.
He's not the lovable little buddy riding a horse with no shirt on I once knew and loved.
Okay, you're not funny. You suck. And it's just, the identified patients. Kanye, Putin, and Trump, there they are. Bing, bing, bing. They're the identified patient. All the evil in the world's coming from these three guys. No one else is evil. No one else. These spammers are great. Everyone's great. Donnie's great. Jimmy Kimmel's great. Trevor, Noah, they're all great, right? Okay, so I've got these great comments to get to, and I want to make this, talk about the truth community, but this video went way too long, and, way longer than I thought it would. I thought I was just going to cover a little bit of stuff today, even, I originally thought I was just going to go with the comments and make a whole long, hour-long video about that. So hopefully I'll get to that tomorrow, and then Heartfulness channel update I got to get to, and maybe something on the other channel, but this is enough for today. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting for the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.